Welcome back to Income Trading 101. Today we are going to take a look at Airbnb. I had a talk with one of my coaching students recently, and we were looking at some different earnings plays on this one. You can see they announced earnings, had positive earnings, and had a nice little gap open, and it sort of come back a little bit towards where it opened on that gap move. But definitely want to take a look at this. And I see certain things right now just looking at this chart that would make me think that I'm looking at possible support, but we'll see how the analysis turns out. So we're going to start off the way we always do it with a couple of moving averages. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. We'll hit us with three of these. I like a short term, a medium term, and a longer term. So we'll use the short term as my buy signal. That's going to be a 10-day. Just do that there. And of course, I'm using TradingView for anyone who does not have charting software. Feel free to click into the description for this video, and you'll see a link that you can go to and get a nice trial. So I'm using the 20-day as my mid-range sell signal, and then for my longer range, I like that is yellow. We're gonna make that a 60-day, a full-on 3 months. So there you have it, 2 weeks, 1 month, and essentially a 3 month. And so right now, of course, at the daily level, this thing is all go, right? Looks like everything's moving on, moving up. That gap move is gonna be great. That's gonna keep things positive, because you've got right now the 10-day above the 20, above the 60, which is certainly very, very bullish. That's what we look to see. But even prior to, we'll get to this, but prior to earnings, we already were seeing an up move. This whole year has been an up move for Airbnb. So it's been a good year so far. Let's drop down. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go the other way. Let's look at the weekly level. The reason you would look at the weekly is just to make sure you're not missing the forest for the trees, right? So this thing at the weekly level is showing bearish because you have the 60 above the 20 above the 10, but the 10 is about to converge and cross. So this is very interesting. It's funny how you can look at something at the daily level and have it be fully bullish, and then you take it to the 1 week level and it's like, oh, wait a minute. And that's because it really was down quite a bit recently. Let's drop it to the 4 hour, we're bullish. 1 hour, we are not. We crossed over here. This would have been towards the end, midday yesterday, Friday, February 17th. There was a cross in the short range for this stock. Let's see how it looks at the 45. We'll do the 30-minute level. So the 30-minute level, it had a cross at the beginning of the morning as you had essentially a down day. So this one down day will affect these uber short ranges much more than say a 4 hour or a daily. So no surprises there. Let's go ahead and get rid of our 3 moving averages and go over to the MACD, which is our sort of oscillator, a little bit of momentum oscillator. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. So you've seen on the daily level, you've seen back since January a strong push higher in the momentum oscillator. Again, no surprise here. The MACD is actually comprised of some exponential moving averages, so you can always get a sense of what it's doing. It's very similar. The 1 hour level, of course, there was a crossover, which would be bearish. So that would have been a nice little bearish signal for during the day on Friday. And if I take it to like the 30-minute, I'm sure it had the same crossover. Yep, crossover around 11 a.m. And you see how the momentum went on and even fell below the 0 line there. So no surprises, very similar to what we saw in the simple moving averages. Let's see if is there even a retracement? Maybe. we'll throw on a nice little Fibonacci retracement just to see what we might see if there's anything worth looking at. So we're going to take it just from this peak. I'm going to go from this peak all the way down to that low and swing that over. So Fibonacci retracement, right now we are sitting at the 38.2. We got just shy of the 50%. So maybe we will get a move to the 50% level, which would be this 147 level. That's $16 higher from where we are now. That actually is a nice, that'd be a nice little move, right? To see that. So definitely worth keeping an eye out for. Let's tighten this up a little bit and see if we see anything else. So this 38.2 level, you've had some recurring spots. You saw it in May of 21. You saw it again in July of 21. It flirted with it in January of 22, and then in March of 22, that was the resistance that it bounced off of, and then it fell through hard on back in May of 22. And you can see 1, 2, 3 times we have flirted with this area. It seemed to act as resistance, and now we have finally broken through. Normally when you break through resistance, it becomes support. Just like when you break through support, it often becomes resistance, as we saw here in June of 22, August of 22, September of 22. So that actually is bullish in my mind. The fact that we're sitting right here, as long as we don't blow through this on Tuesday when the markets open back up, like if we push off of this level, that's a very, very strong indicator that I think would show that we are going to move higher, certainly approaching that 147 level, which would be the 50% retracement of that larger move. So let's get that. Actually, you know what? We're not going to remove that just yet because I'm going to add another indicator on top. I've been looking at volume quite a bit lately just to get a better sense of what's going on. So what's interesting is at that 50% level, there was strong volume. That's interesting because we might see that level actually plays resistance rather than support unless we really blow through it. So if we blow through the 147 level, expect that to be like, this is so significant. When you have multiple indicators lining up on top of the same region, that just bodes that much more to say, hey, this might actually be a key level. More so than even this down here, like at the 38.2% level, kind of where price is right now. Sure, price has bounced off a few times, but that is clearly from a volume standpoint is not a very key level. Let's take a look at the weekly as well. And I want to look at the weekly I always just want to make sure I'm not missing the forest for the trees. And even at the weekly, we see that 50%, that 147 level is where we've got a lot of volume. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. Man, that's huge. Let's go back to the daily, and we're going to get rid of our Fibonacci. We're going to get rid of our volume. I just got rid of the volume a second ago. Let me get rid of Fib. You're out of here, Fibonacci. And let's do, I'm old school, and I still love just looking at, good old price channels that help you see clearly what the market has been up to. Like, look at that. So definitely worth keeping an eye on Airbnb. I think it's got some, there's some oomph to this one. We might end up seeing a really nice up move here from here. Obviously, we spoke earlier about that 147 level as being the 50% retracement. That also was the level with a lot of support or a lot of volume. So we'll see if it either plays resistance or support. But I really feel strongly about the idea that that volume and the retracement level will likely just go ahead and support prices going there to test it. So we'll see how it happens, see what plays out. Many of you know I have a podcast on option trading called The Weekly Option. So if you want to head over there, you can listen to the podcast. Just Google it, The Weekly Option Podcast. You can find it. But I tend to play these sorts of elements with options. So I would look to either the low probability trade would be buying some out of the money call options. That would be ideally pretty cheap. The higher probability would be either selling put options or buying call spreads that already have intrinsic value. If you don't understand any of that, you're welcome to go over to the Weekly Option podcast. It's theweeklyoption.com as well. You can just leave a note in the contact and email me there, or leave a comment for the video, and I'll definitely respond. So that's it. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I hope you're having a great trading year so far as well. And keep going. Happy trading.